the man had his clothes ripped open by his own disciple in front of everyone. Then a blade stabbed straight into his chest. 10 years ago, Muqingyi was the #1 immortal master in the world. He had one most prized final disciple. Chu Yingli was not only gifted, he also seemed really obedient and understanding. Even while training in the cold pool, he would think of his master for no reason. Right then, Muqingyi slowly walked toward him. He reminded him not to overdo his training as sitting too long to harvest. The next second, Chu Yingli grabbed his hands and said the cold star flowers on Cloud Dream Cliff are about to bloom. Will you have time to watch them with your disciple? Unexpectedly, Muqingyi not only didn't refuse, he even carefully reminded him to let him know when the time came. Just as Chu Yingli was looking forward to this flower viewing trip, an accident completely shattered his beautiful fantasy. The seal was broken and demons poured out. Countless lives hanging by a thread. Muqingyi, the master of Lingshuan Palace, decided to sacrifice himself to rebuild the seal. With a shrill scream, Muqingyi slowly fell from the sky. Before dying, he still thought about the promise he made with Chu Yingli, but this time he would have to break his word. Chu Yingli, who rushed over, held Muqingyi tightly in his arms. He couldn't believe that after leaving for just a moment, his master would never open his eyes again. At this moment, a junior brother nearby had to open his big mouth. The immortal master died for all living beings. He died without regret. Please accept my condolences. The next second, he was sent flying by Chu Yinli's palm strap. In his heart, his master was far more important than all living beings. Illin's terrifying demonic energy radiated around Chu. If this continued, the seal that Muqingyi worked so hard to rebuild would be broken again. So everyone earnestly pleaded, Brother Chu, the immortal master traded his life for all living beings. Do you want to destroy your master's life work? Hearing his master's name finally made Chu Yingli calm down. But then everyone continued to strike while the iron was hot. Brother Chu, if the immortal master were awake, he definitely wouldn't want to see you like that. Then Chu Yingli shakily stood up, holding Muqingyi, and disappeared from everyone's sight step by step. When he laid Muqingyi on the bed, and saw his hands that could never be lifted again, he laughed crazily at the sky. You clearly promised to go see the cold starflowers with me. You broke your promise, Muqingyi. I hate you so much. Everyone thought the story would end but no one expected that Muqingyi would be reborn 10 years later. He had been dead for 10 years, yet suddenly opened his eyes in a mass grave. Then he accidentally heard two big men whispering. Willow's sword sector got wiped out. At this rate, the mass grave won't be able to hold any more bodies. After Muqingyi died, Chu Yingli tried to get rare treasures to revive him. In just 10 years, he destroyed dozens of sects, big and small. At this time, the two men accidentally let something slip. That person from Lingshuan Palace is still slaughtering people in Ghost Cry Forest. We still have a lot of work to do. But Muqingyi refused to believe that his once obedient and understanding disciple had suddenly become a bloodthirsty maniac. So he decided to go to Ghost Cry Forest to find out the truth. But as soon as he arrived at Ghost Cry Forest, he heard screams. People from Willow Sword sect were desperately fleeing, protecting their sex treasure, the mystic spirit Willow Wig. But the next second, they were blocked by people from Lingshuan Palace. At this time, Chu Yingli also approached with an arrogant stride. Muqingyi found it hard to believe. Was this person really his once obedient and understanding disciple? Then the people from Willow Sword sect said they would rather die than hand over their sex treasure. Soon, Chu Yingli granted their wish. With one command, countless streams of demonic energy rushed toward the Willow Sword sect people. At the critical moment, Muqingyi appeared in time. Then he used weak water to block the fatal blow for them. This scene left Chu Yingli frozen in place. Then he glared and demanded, "Who are you exactly?" Muqingyi didn't expect that in just 10 years, his good disciple wouldn't even recognize him anymore. So he used his signature technique, the Mystic Clear Formula, to prove his identity. But the next second, Chu Yingli grabbed his throat and demanded, "Why do you know my master's secret technique?" Only then did Muqingyi realize his disciple had already fallen to the dark side. So he found the right moment to break free from Chu Yingli's grip, then scolded loudly, "Unworthy disciple, are you trying to betray your master? When the demons invaded, I burned my life force to seal them. I never thought that after I died you would." Before he could finish, the next second he was hit by countless streams of demonic energy. He collapsed, coughing up blood, because no one was allowed to say in front of Chu Yingli that his master was dead. But what Muqingyi couldn't understand was, he was standing right in front of his disciple. Why couldn't he recognize him? Not until he saw his reflection in the rainwater did he realize he had a completely different face. For the man had a knife held to his throat, then his clothes were ripped open. He almost had his manhood cut off. The former master and disciple had become enemies. Just moments ago, Muqingyi had collapsed on the ground, severely injured. But he discovered he no longer had the same face as before. Only then did he understand why Chu Yingli never recognized him. But before one problem was solved, the next second he was sent flying by Chu Yingli's palm strike. At this time, Muqingyi sat helplessly on the ground, muttering, "Only had been no demon invasion back then. If only I had gone with you to see the cold star flower." The moment Chu Yingli heard cold star flowers, he looked shocked. So he rushed forward and grabbed Muqingyi by the collar, asking, "Who are you exactly? How do you know about the promise between me and my master?" But before Muqingyi could speak, the next second he collapsed straight into Chu Yingli's arms. To find out Muqingyi's true identity, Chu Yingli decided to bring him back to Ling's first. He didn't forget to seize the treasure mystic spirit Willow Wood from the Willow Sword disciple. Then, he leaped up and disappeared from everyone's sight. Meanwhile, in Lingshuan Palace, Muqingyi's hands were tightly bound by iron chains. When he was woken by a bucket of icy cold water, he found he had been imprisoned in Lingshuan Palace by Chu Yingli. At this time, Chu Yingli desperately wanted to know Muqingyi's true identity. So he grabbed his throat and demanded, "Speak. Why do you know my master's mystic clear formula? And why do you know about the promise between me and my master?" At this time, Muqingyi firmly stated, "I told you I'm your master. Whether you believe it or not, that's the truth." But this unworthy disciple just threw him aside, then started laughing loudly. Then he pulled out a dagger and held it to his throat, threatening, It's fine if you won't tell the truth, I have all the time in the world to play with you. Then he tore Muqingyi's last remaining piece of clothing to shreds. Muqingyi just said, "Unworthy disciple, you're completely outrageous." The next second, Xu Yingli slashed a huge gash across his chest. But Xu Yingli wasn't about to let him off that easily. Then he grabbed his hair and continued threatening, "You can keep going." But at this moment Muqingyi laughed. He laughed that 10 years had changed everything. He laughed at that old friends met but didn't recognize each other. Then he told Xu Yingli about memories that belonged only to the two of them. "You always like to stay in the cold pool to practice. So I will come remind you every night at the hour of the pig. And the cold star flowers on Cloud Dream Cliff you invited me to go while practicing in the cold pool. Back when you invited me the flowers hadn't bloomed. When they blew everything had already changed." After hearing this, Xu Yingli's heart was beginning to waver. But he still refused to admit that the person in front of him was his master who had been dead for 10 years. Seeing the unworthy disciple about to lose it again, Muqingyi looked at him firmly and said, "The man waited 10 years to bring back his dead master." But he didn't know his master who had been dead for 10 years was already standing right in front of him. But the man imprisoned him and made him prove his identity. He set a rule that he couldn't leave the cave until then. But Muqingyi really wanted to see Lingswan Palace again after Seoul. So he turned into weak water and broke free from the iron chain. Meanwhile, Xu Yingli slowly arrived at the forbidden area deep within Li. Inside lay Muqingyi's body from his previous life. For 10 years Xu Yingli came to visit him every day. But this time he rarely talked to his master about what was on his mind. "Recently I met someone who dared to pretend to be you. Isn't that ridiculous? I wanted to kill him right away, but somehow I couldn't bring myself to do it. Maybe he really is too much like you." After speaking he planted a gentle kiss on Muqingyi's forehead. "As for that person, if in the end he can't make me believe, then I'll kill him with my own hands." Meanwhile, inside Lingswan Palace Muqingyi was wandering around. He wanted to find someone to first understand what happened over the past 10. But the next second, an unfamiliar voice came from behind. It was the person who had held an umbrella for Xu Yingli before. Then that person pranced around Muqingyi. Muqingyi was getting dizzy from him. "Wait, who are you?" Then the person smiled behind his hand. "My apologies. I haven't introduced myself. I'm Hongchen, master of 10,000 Flower Peak." Meanwhile, the Willow Sword Sect disciples who just escaped from Xu Yingli were in big trouble. After Xu Yingli left, they started fleeing frantically through Ghost Cry Forest. When they saw their home in the distance, everyone got really excited. But before they could celebrate, the next second they were attacked by countless dark shadows. After a series of screams, only the youngest, Liu Zhu, was left. Then a cold voice came from all around him. "Lingswan Palace never leaves anyone alive." How does it feel? Pretty hopeless to die right after seeing hope, isn't it? But what Liu Zhu didn't expect was that these dark shadows didn't kill him. They just left him with one sentence. "We won't kill you today. We'll give you a chance. Let's see how lowly and like he tries to get revenge on Lingswan Palace." From then on, Liu Zhu became sworn enemies. But what he didn't know was that those dark shadows were actually the demon clan that Muqingyi sealed 10 years ago. And they did this just to stop their path of revenge. The man tried everywhere to prove his identity, but no one would believe him. He had been dead for 10 years, and even his once most obedient disciple now wanted to torture him. Even so, he still wanted to prove that he was Muqingyi from 10 years ago. So he went to the place he was most familiar with, planning to find someone he knew to understand what happened in the past 10 years. He unexpectedly ran into Shi Hongchen, master of 10,000 Flower Peak. He told Muqingyi, "Even though you've offended him many times and gotten away with it, I still advise you, if you keep playing with fire, you're gonna get burned. That person who died, his name is forbidden in Lingswan Palace. Anyone who mentions it must die, so I advise you not to burn up again." After hearing this, Muqingyi found it hard to believe. Did Yinli really fall to the dark side because of me? If Yinli really fell because of me, then I need to hurry and find a way to make him recognize me. Then he remembered a place. Maybe that place could awaken some of Yinli's memories of him. So after thanking Shi Hongchen, he leaped up and headed to Cloud Dream Cliff. He didn't hear Shi Hongchen's warning behind him. "Wait!" Just as he was about to pick one to give to Xu Yingli, the next second a cold voice suddenly came from behind. "This is my forbidden ground, how dare you trespass?" After speaking, he didn't give Muqingyi a chance to explain. Then he raised his hand and used demonic energy to bind Muqingyi tight. He continued threatening, "Only my master and I can come here. Anyone else who enters must die. Tell me, should I kill you?" Muqingyi naturally knew Xu Yingli wouldn't kill him, but there's one thing he wasn't sure about. Was Cloud Dream Cliff made into a forbidden ground also because he died? So he decided to test the waters first. "I know you still have doubts about me. That's why I came to Cloud Dream Cliff to pick some cold star flowers for you." But after hearing this, Xu Yingli said mockingly, "You think giving me some cold star flowers makes you my master? You're way too naive." Then Muqingyi continued probing. "I didn't want to use cold star flowers to prove myself. I just wanted to fulfill the promise I made with you 10 years ago." Hearing the word promise, this unworthy disciple finally